I think it's something too that a lot of the time, if things are going to go bad, they're going to go bad. Like contracts, everything else, like none of that really plays a factor. And again, email is just as good as a contract these days. If you have agreements, then it's all right there in writing.
And it'll never benefit the VFX studio anyway.
Mhm.
So your contract written by a universal lawyer is your $350 $450 an hour lawyer
Mhm.
is not going to somehow squeeze the blood out of a stone of a universal if for some reason they decide not to pay you. They feel you're in breach of you're done. Like that's it. So whether you have one or not kind of doesn't matter. It'd be better to just trust people and work from that angle.
So I got a question about that because I think that's a really good point. I feel like the artists you're describing that usually have been screwed by studios. I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
about this earlier today that I always feel like it's the small. In fact, I was talking about this with a few people yesterday about it's usually the smaller studios that are the ones that screw everyone over, treat them like crap. They underbid everything, and then the artists are the ones on the receiving end. And I feel like you pay your dues at the smaller places, but as you grow into a more of a senior role, the smaller studios are not going to go try to hire you because A, they can't afford you, and B,
Right.
they also know that you're not going to put up with their shit. So usually it's kind of a natural progression where you end up at better places that are professional. They're big or they're successful for a reason because they didn't pull that kind of crap. But we all get jaded by the smaller studios, and I'll say Tiger Hair, which I never would have said in a million years, but that was one of mine when I first moved to LA. But they're not in business anymore, so I'm kind of glad to throw them under the bus. But I've definitely worked at some places that will bleed you of 120-hour weeks, and then at the very end refuse to pay you for a year or two until suddenly they really need you, and then all your invoices got paid miraculously.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
I guess for you, like, building that trust, because what I'm getting at is I don't think that everyone should trust everyone right off the bat and play the game, because it leaves them high and dry. But what are some of the things that you do with artists to try to build that trust with them, like to make them realize that, hey, we're legit versus the bad experiences you might have ran into in the past?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't. So this is me.
Hmm.
And we don't have like a recruiting team or whatever. We just have, artists who know artists who know artists who know artists. And we get people,
Yeah, reputation's everything.
yeah, we get people like filling out on our website and whatnot. And if something really catches my eye, I will immediately email them and say, like, I really love your reel. We're not that busy right now. There's a strike on or whatever, but I'm gonna hold on to the. So I'm this honest, as I am being with you, with the teams, with the artists, with the people. So and it's always very straightforward. And have we had financial hardships? Yes. There was a COVID thing, right? And there are movies that don't clients who don't want to pay very quickly. So you talk about like the 120-day invoice.
Hmm.
That happens. That happens to us. And that does get passed along sometimes. If you don't have like $300,000 of cash in the bank, then everyone's waiting for that money. Um, and sometimes it means having to be, responsible with and communicative to your artists, and just, like, I'm not getting paid this week either, so you're not getting paid this week. And as soon as like this writes itself,
Hmm.
we'll make sure everything is good. And that has happened a couple of times, and I see that the way the world works, like it could happen again, but it's about honesty, transparency, rapid communication, answering people back when they email you and they're wondering. And it's like, I get you, I feel you, I'm in the same boat as you. I always make sure that like my artists get paid before I do, and that can be a hardship too. But it's all part of like being an artist, being first an artist on the box, and wanting to like make that experience good um, for other people, and so that other people can have that experience. And like, you can trust me because I trust myself. Um, but it won't always be perfect,
Hmm.
and that's just life. And so that's
No, I like that a lot. And you're right. Like, I think that people only get nervous when it is that you're not being communicative with them, but when
Yeah.
you're upfront and transparent with people about, here's where it's at, and this is just reality, but also being able to kind of check in with them whenever people are getting nervous about like, hey, when's my paycheck coming? At least being able to respond means that they know that you're
We didn't
turning your
disappear.
back on them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean there are companies. I have friends that have still not been paid by certain companies,
Hmm.
and interestingly enough, principals of those companies went and started other companies, and were talking to us about working and like building a relationship and working together, and other ideas of working very closely together. And when I did a little research on them, I'm like, oh, what happened here? And they were like, oh, no, everything's fine. Everything resolved itself perfectly. And I'm like, hold on.
Ever since I changed my legal name,
I know artists. So I went and talked to artists who had worked there, and they're like, no, they still owe me money. And I'm like, okay. So this isn't going to be like a relationship that I'm going to want to pursue because these people are not honest. And it's like, if they're not going to be honest brokers to people in the past, then they're not
So
going to be honest brokers with us. And to, you know, that's not what I want to put in the world. What I want to put in the world is exactly what you see here. Uh, you know,
no, that's
it's
critical. It's so important.
it's just that. Yeah.